Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is going to be a fashion video, specifically an unboxing, but this is going to be a very in-depth, very honest unboxing and I'm not going to mince words here. I'm going to crap talk the brand. It's Romwe. If you're unfamiliar with Romwe is a sister company of Shein, and I think they broke off from Shein or just kind of created that sister company because of alternative aesthetics really coming into fashion, and they try to break it down into different alternative aesthetics, but they get them all wrong. If you're looking at goth, it looks more Y2K, so none of it makes sense. And honestly, I think if I were to choose where to get clothing from, I would say Shein. Even if you're looking for anything more alternative in nature, is by far better. I've gotten things from Romwe. I've had this bag for a while. I've had the flu and other various things in between, so I don't remember what is in this, and I love when that happens because I'm able to be a lot more honest and react to things a lot more effectively, because I genuinely don't know what I'm going to be picking up, and I don't know where my head was when I selected the pieces. Another thing that I kind of wanted to touch on, usually when I shoot, my husband is at work, and I shoot when everyone is outside of the house because it's a lot easier. But since I've been sick, I've had the flu, I've not been able to do any shooting, so I'm going to have to shoot with him home. You will hear him in the background. He is not quiet, and that is okay. It's okay. So, when it comes to fast fashion, if it were me personally, just me personally, where I'm at in my life right now, I would not utilize it. I would not use it. I would not buy it. And the reason is I have access to really good thrift stores. The prices in the thrift stores are going up, yes, and that is a bit of a problem. But on the whole, I have really, we're going to make this work. We are going to make this work. Italian soda time. Okay, so why do other people utilize fast fashion when there are so many other sites out there, like for example Depop, Poshmark, Vinted, and there are even independent designers that have things that they make custom, and they come in every single size you can possibly imagine because they're making it custom for you. And these garments, if you can afford it, they're worth it. And I want to mention one of these brands, sip, Blackwood Castle. Blackwood Castle are all handmade, hand-designed, beautiful pieces, and they're made in Salem, Massachusetts. I mean, you can't get more goth than that. Unfortunately, Romwe, they actually plagiarized some of Blackwood's designs. So this is a common occurrence that happens with fast fashion brands, and what sucks is this happened to me as a designer as well, selling on Etsy. You cannot copyright or trademark clothing, unless of course it's a very specific design that you hand drew, or a monogram or a print. That you can trademark, that you can copyright. But if it's something like, say, this, good luck. Not going to happen. So I've had a lot of people rip my stuff off constantly, and I've been lucky where they were all independent sellers on Etsy just trying to make a quick buck off of my stuff. After a few complaints, they went away on their own. So a few years back, Dark in Love ripped off a few of my designs from my Etsy shop, and Doll's Kill was actually selling them on their site. When it comes to sites like Romwe, it is upsetting for a lot of people because there are a lot of people who are financially bound to that site or bound by size. So when it comes to things like thrifting, and you want to go out, you want to go thrifting, you want to get things that, you know, are obviously one of a kind, and you want to do the right thing, sometimes it's really not possible because, for one, if you're plus sized, thrifting is next to impossible. And after talking to so many of you over the last several years, I got to kind of learn about thrifting in different parts, not just of the US, but the world. And I know that with myself, for many years, I always took thrifting for granted. I always would think, well, why don't you just go to the thrift store? There's so many great things there. You can DIY things. Why not do that? And these are things that I took for granted myself because, like I said, I have really great thrifting in my area, always have, and I can sew. I have a sewing machine, I have a serger, or some people call it an overlocker. I can also sew by hand. So these are things that not everybody can do. Not everybody has access to a serger or an overlocker. Not everybody has access to a sewing machine. Not everybody can sew. Some people have arthritis. Some people have issues that make it impossible for them. Or some people are just not that way inclined. And that's that's the suck part of it. Maybe your hands are perfectly capable, but you're just not that way inclined, or you can't afford a sewing machine, or you live in an area where thrifting sucks. You live in like a thrift desert, and I've seen so many people, and this makes me crazy. They're either from areas that have really good thrifting, like where I'm from, I live in New York, gonna have good thrifting, or they're very thin and they have no issues finding clothing. So they're kind of out there saying things like there should be no excuse for you to buy fast fashion. I go to the thrift store, and even if the thrift store sucks, I will find things that work for me. And they have DIY skill, they're slim, and or live in good thrifting areas. Try to do that if you have minimal DIY abilities and you're plus size. It is very, very, very difficult, especially when sites like Romwe and Shein do offer really great plus size options. So back to Blackwood Castle. So I'm going to do a side by side. Here is the dress from Blackwood Castle. And as you can see, it is a beautiful dress, incredibly well made. And then this, of course, is the ripoff that Romwe had done of this dress. So we know that there are going to be lots of differences, especially when it comes to quality, when it comes to durability, and also when it comes to fit. There are going to be differences. You can't substitute getting something from an independent designer, custom made, quality fabric from fast fashion. There's no substitution there. However, there are things that we can do in order to do our part. And this is my personal suggestion. This is me. This does not reflect Blackwood Castle in any way, but this is my recommendation on what to do. If you find out that you have something that is actually plagiarized by another independent designer, if you post any pictures of yourself on social media wearing that garment, do not tag Romwe. Tag the actual designer themselves. I know it is a very controversial act, but I feel like it's a really good way to right a wrong and to bring business back to the original designer, because you know that Romwe's going to make a lot of money on that, because they're going to make a lot more and sell it for a lot less. Whereas this designer, their fabric is going to be more expensive. They're hand making it, so it takes a lot more time. So the best way, I think, personally, would be to, if you have the dress, no harm, no foul. You didn't know any better. That is okay. Just credit the actual designer. You wear it online, you wear it on any form of social media, tag Blackwood Castle. Let people know this is who designed it. Even if Romwe is the one that made it, technically Blackwood Castle is the one that designed it, so credit where credit is due. The way that I look at fast fashion is something that should be temporary, something that you do when you need to, something on an as-needed basis. Say you're in a financial situation where you really can't afford anything else. You need clothes for work. You need clothes to just basically exist, but you use it for the time where you need it, and then you find yourself in a situation later on, you live in a better area, you're making more money, where you can actually afford better, you have access to better thrift stores, or you can afford things from independent designers, or you can go on places like, say, Poshmark, Depop. The thing about, and this is the thing that really annoys me about Poshmark, is their shipping. So you think you found this great piece, it's like $10, I got this great thing for $10, right? Yeah, shipping, $7.97. Suddenly it's not so cheap anymore. That's why I try to avoid Poshmark now, and I stick mainly to sites like Depop. When it comes to my wardrobe, like things that I have, I stay away from fast fashion. I don't buy things on Romwe. I don't buy things on Shein. I stay away from sites like that. I am almost entirely, my stuff comes from thrift stores or places like Depop or places like Etsy. I've gotten a couple of handmade pieces on Etsy or Vinted. I really like Vinted. So when I do these hauls, the reason that I do these, I want to kind of give you tips. I like things that are not too obvious. I like the basics. I like things that are simple. I don't like to go too over the top. Or if you are, grab a few statement pieces that you can kind of mix and match with other things, because we want things that are going to last. We want things that are versatile, and you also want things that are going to be cohesive with other stuff that you have in your wardrobe. But another thing that's important is durability. Fabric is something you really need to pay attention to, because you don't want something that you're going to have to throw away in like a month's time. You want something that's going to be able to stay. Another thing you're going to have to do is make sure that you care for the garment appropriately. Always wash in cold water. Never introduce heat of any kind to any of your clothes, especially your fast fashion piece. See, I keep gesturing this way, the bag is right there. When it comes to your fast fashion pieces especially, always wash, hand wash, cold water, air dry. And if you do dry it in the dryer, no heat. And the reason that this is important is heat's a killer. Heat will deteriorate the piece, it will cause it to shrink, it will deplete its life exponentially every time you do it. So cold always. So we want to prolong it. We want to get things that have lastability, things that are made from fabrics that things that are made from fabrics that aren't going to snag, aren't going to pull, aren't going to tear, and are generally good fabrics. I'm a fan of viscose. I am a fan of cotton. I'm always a fan of cotton. I love cotton. Zippers. I always go on about zippers, and there have been so many times that I didn't realize something had a zipper and I got it. But the specific kind of zipper you want to stay away from are the concealed zippers. And when you zip it up, it'll pull the fabric into it and it's going to seize. You're never going to get it up or down, and you're going to basically destroy the fabric and the garment is unwearable. So stay away from zippers. So I'm going to open this up and I'm going to kind of go through every bit and we're going to talk about each piece. Again, I don't remember what I got, and I actually quite like it like that. So in the time that I selected these pieces, in the time that it took to get to my door, to now, we've had the flu and then other people sick in my house. So much time and stuff has happened. I genuinely do not know what is in this bag. Why are we crying? Okay, I do remember this. It's a duster. It's a velvet duster, and it has a faux fur collar. Oh, it has cuffs as well. And cuffs. So the fur is actually very soft. I expected it to have an artificial feel because I know that they always tend to go with much cheaper fabrics, but this isn't so bad. This is actually very soft. And it's removable. So it is kind of your standard velvet. It's not a great velvet. It's almost costumey, like what you would get in Spirit Halloween. Not quite Party City, but Spirit Halloween. So slightly higher quality costume, but still, it's not like a good quality velvet. So the buttons, they kind of went for a vintage feel. They went with like little rosettes. They're not sewn on very well. Yeah, it's just a simple lock stitch on the back. Tied maybe twice. If you know how to reinforce buttons and you get this, reinforce the buttons. They're not long for this world. As you can see, it's just a regular faux fur duster. It is very showy. It's something that's not exactly casual. It's something you'd wear dressed up. It's something you'd wear out. I've had very similar things to this in the late 90s. I remember one specifically, I loved it, and I got it in Joyce Leslie, and it looked basically like this, but if you replace the velvet with a really thick fishnet. I wore that thing everywhere. Actually, when Propaganda Magazine were looking for models, I wore that and I took actual photographs, and they were Polaroids of myself, and mailed them to Propaganda Magazine. But I digress. The fact that you can take the collar off and you can take the cuffs off, it changes it entirely. So it takes it from something that is very showy, something that you would wear out, to something more casual. So when you are bound by finance and you're forced into fast fashion, if you're getting two pieces in one, that to me is something that is definitely worth it. This, as I'm talking to you, I'm noticing is shedding. I don't know if you can see. So that is something to be forewarned about. She sheds. So when you're trying to save money, when you're getting two pieces in one, that is always a good thing. So I would say that this for me is, aside from the shedding and the buttons that need reinforcing, I would say worth it. I'm going to do a try on for you, so things might change after I get them on my body, see how they fit, and maybe see if there's any sort of issues with construction, because once you get things on, if you felt like you could pop a seam or something, anything like that happens, I'm going to let you know post try on. So these are things that are important to know. Moving on. Oh, it's a skirt. So this is a skirt. It is a mesh, double layer, floral burnout print over it. They always use, so the lining that they always use, if you have sensory issues and you don't like things that feel like dry, like, you know, that dry fabric. So the lining on this, which is much like a lot of their linings, if I check something that has a different lining, I'll let you know. But this is sort of, this does not deviate. The fabric that they use for their linings is always sort of the same fabric, and it's like when you go to Party City and you get like a vampire cape or you get a Scream costume, that kind of cheap polyestery, stretchy but dry fabric. I like it, especially when you wear it with plain tights. Fishnets are fine, but if you have plain sort of mesh tights, just the feeling of those rubbing against each other, it gives me the chills. I can't. Smooth, yes, also cheap. However, that's just the lining. We're not wearing it inside out, but I'm just kind of explaining it in the sense of what's going to be touching your skin. And if you have any kind of sensory issues when it comes to dry fabric, cheap fabric, fabric like that, touching you on your bare legs, you're going to feel it. It's going to bother you. So I highly recommend, if you don't wear regular tights, I would recommend fishnets because you surprisingly feel it a lot less. Serged lettuce edges. Yeah, I always find with the hanky hems with Ramwe and Shein, you have this at the end. See, it gets a bit frayed, so you're going to want to give that a little bit of a snip. The mesh on it's quite thick. It is a hanky hem. The lining underneath is a bit shorter, so that you'll be able to see a little bit more of the fabric. So it kind of adds a little bit of like a layer quality, which I like. When it comes to this, again, versatility. You can wear this with either a sweater. You could also wear it out a little bit more dressed up. So I like things that are versatile, and this is something that's going to be very versatile. It's going to be things that you can either wear to a more casual event or you can wear it dressed up. So accessories, always the key. Accessories will change up anything. So I like pieces that can go either way. Skirts are great like that. Skirts are those things that you can kind of just dress up, dress down, accessorize. That's why I like to stick to things that are a little bit more basic and less over the top, because also you'll find that you can pair them with other things. But as far as versatility is concerned, as far as durability, definitely, again, if you have sensory issues and you don't like that kind of dry, cheap fabric, you're gonna hate the lining. Just cut the lining out, put something underneath it. I fell down. How is this? Different lining, still cheap fabric lining. It's not like you need to break the bank with the lining, but it's very soft, and I don't think you'd have any issues with it. It's actually quite soft, a little bit silky. Doesn't have that like dry feeling. You'd be fine with this. The outer layer, on the other hand, is made of almost like a faux chiffon. So if you're familiar with chiffon, it has no stretch, it's sheer, and it is a little bit on the drier side. So if you know chiffon, if you touch chiffon, that's what this feels like. The lace, stretch lace, has a little bit of an elasticized feel to it, soft. It has a very Stevie Nicks feel. I'm always iffy when it comes to bust lines being sewn in because they're never really very generous, and they seem to be made with smaller booby girls in mind. And for the rest of us that aren't, we tend not to fit in. But as you can see, that they're, rather than darts, there's kind of ruching sewn in. So this is larger chest friendly, which is good, because in the past, I know a lot of people have had issues. This is bell sleeve, the entire sleeve. And the entire sleeve is bell. I used to love bell sleeves, but I've kind of in the last few years gone off them. And the reason I've gone off them is they're not very practical, because they just get in everything. They're pretty, they look nice, but when you're out and you're doing things, like for example, going to the Witch's Brew with your friends, having coffee and nachos. Imagine going out for nachos with your friends in this, and then reaching for a nacho. Your sleeve is done for. Cheesy sleeve. All day, every day. So when it comes to these, I tend to like them. I appreciate them, but I'm more about this kind of sleeve, a lot more practical. But that doesn't change the fact that I do think these designs are pretty. Yeah, so this is me just being nitpicky, but when it comes to the joins, it's always the case. One's higher than the other. For me, it's not a deal breaker, but it's just sort of a show of quality. The fabric isn't overall cheap, but it's kind of that like middle of the road. It's not cheap throwaway fabric, but it's also not something that you would get from, say, an independent designer that carefully chose the fabric themselves. So you will have differences. The back on this is elasticated. And it has fairly good give to it, which for something like this is also really important, because I know a lot of people struggle with sizing, particularly from Asian sites, because Asian sizes can be a little bit different from Western sizing. So after several years, I guess, of working with more Western customers, they've changed their sizes to where they're a little bit more accessible. And adding things like having an elasticized back. Something like this is good because it's kind of like it adds for ease of movement. It isn't just, it's not so tight and restricted. And it negates the need for a zipper. Because feeling this fabric and seeing what type of dress this is, 100% they would have put a zipper on this. And they got away with, instead, elasticized back, which I think is way better, because that's going to save you the headache and the hassle and the worry of every time you zip this thing up or down, is this going to be the last time? Because I feel like having a zipper on a fast fashion item, it's like a ticking time bomb. Stay away. For the moment, this is a yes for me, but I want to try it on and see how it wears and all that fun stuff, and we'll see if that changes. I don't like these buttons at all. I think these buttons are stupid and pointless. They're just ornamental. You can pull them right off. I'm going to do that. And I think the presence of these buttons makes it a lot harder to accessorize this, because if you wanted to wear, say, like a nice drapey belt from Mode Brutal, which I 100% plan to be pairing with this when I try it on, I feel like these buttons would take away from that and make it look a little cheesy. But luckily these buttons aren't sewn on well. No, I've been saying it for years, but accessories are the key. Accessories are going to make or break your look. If you accessorize anything, it could be the plainest, most simplest thing, but the way that you accessorize it, you make it your own. I vaguely remember this dress, but I must have thought she was wearing it as a necklace. Yeah. So this is coming off immediately, and I'm going to, oh, it comes right off. So fortunately, this is attached by way of little clasps like these, see, which you can take these right off. And if you want to get creative, you could always use these to DIY something. You can turn it into a necklace, you can make it into anything. All of these jaw clips? Or claw? Ah, there it is, yeah. They're all claw clips, good. So yeah, first thing we're gonna do is take these off. I like things that give you the option of making them removable. We're gonna make our own necklace right now. So, it would be a choker. We do, and we'll do it like that. Alright, so jaw clip at the top, jaw clip at the bottom. We'll go part of the way up. Do 3 up. Oh, these are they're different lengths. Butthole. Change in plan, they're different lengths. Why are these different lengths? So I'm going to hang this from here. So now we're going to have an asymmetrical necklace. There we go. It's backwards, but I'm getting an idea. There you go. So we got a dress and a free necklace. The thing I like to do is I like to get like the really huge safety pins and take things like this and just create sort of drapey brooches. That would work too. Free accessories. No, it is. So now the question is, what is this? So it looks like we have kind of a Morticia style dress. This is one of the things that I got that wasn't exactly very casual. You know how I like to stick to things that are basic and just accessorize the crap out of them, things that you wouldn't normally look for, and things that I don't like things that are too obvious. I don't. I hate things that are too obvious because I feel like it kind of steals our creativity. So it feels more like a pre-made costume, like somebody just decided for you what you were going to look like when they make the whole thing, and it's like ready to go. It's like, here you go, it's already goth for you. No, let me goth. You just make the normal stuff. So, if memory serves, is this a size large? I went medium. This was super, super tight on the model, and it looked very uncomfortable, and I didn't find any ease of movement, and I like things that are more flowy and ethereal. Again, bell sleeves, beautiful, but not ideal for nachos. It's actually a very pretty lace. It is elasticated, so it's got good stretch. Does not stretch very much vertically, but it stretches the way we want to. We want it to stretch horizontally. Anything, I've gotten a few things from Runway and Shein in the past where they had it, I guess they sewed it the wrong way around. So if it stretches two-way, vertically is the way to go. Ended it with a serge. See how it has that little bit of a crinkle, so it kind of has lettuce edging going on. So the only problem that I really foresee with this is the fact that it's very, very long. I'm not very tall, and now unless you wear it with platforms, I think you're going to have that problem too, particularly if you're wearing it with heels. I remember when I was younger, being like a little baby bat, one of the like kisses of death when you went to a goth night was to fall on the dance floor. And I don't know if anybody else had, but just it was with me and my friends specifically, like that was our worst nightmare, was to fall down while we were dancing. So whenever we were wearing like long skirts or long dresses, like one of the things we did is when we danced, we picked it up and kind of used the skirt or used the bottom as a sort of an accessory to your moves, but it was actually to make sure we don't fall on our butts. I must have been going through something with this fabric. This looks very similar. No, it's different. Similar concept in fabric to the skirt, where it's that kind of stretchy 4-way stretch mesh, and it has that kind of velvet embossed. Okay, I remember why I got this. This is something that could take like a very simple look and really dress it up. And also, when you're going out, it gets a little bit chilly after you throw one of these on. But say you're wearing just a regular tank top dress, right? Some people are really self-conscious about short sleeve tops or tank tops. I'm a little bit iffy with showing my arms, so I always like to have like a bolero or something like that to cover. So when you have something like this, suddenly you can wear the tank top, or you can wear like the sleeveless dress. Just put this over it. What I like about these is that it could take something very plain, very simple, very basic, and immediately dress it up. I know a lot of people who are self-conscious about things like tank tops, spaghetti straps and things. They'll get dresses because they really like them, or tops because they really like them, but never wear them because they're like, wow, why did I get it? I hate tank tops or spaghetti straps. I hate the way my arms look. Meanwhile, they're 9 times out of 10, their arms look fine. But I know the feeling. I'm self-conscious about my arms as well. You get one of these, and suddenly that dress or that top is once again wearable because you have one of these, which are great. But how is it made? They went through this phase where they weren't ending anything in a stitch. They were just cutting it and just letting it fall, which is awful because the fabric would immediately fray and rip and pull. But now they're ending it with an overlock, which definitely saves it. And this one doesn't have any frayed bits on the end. I want to see how this looks on because I put it on here and I couldn't really tell what it looks like. It feels very well made. It feels like it's going to be durable, and it's not tight under the armpits. So the thing that I'd be worried about this is if it were tighter on the armpits and you'd be doing a lot of moving. if it would pull apart. It feels like it's very well made anyway, and I don't foresee this coming apart. I don't remember choosing this, but I see why I did. Wider waistband. The thing about wide waistbands is that they're a lot more forgiving. It doesn't matter what size you are, even if you're ultra thin. When you have a thinner waistband, it pulls you in a way that makes the lower part of your stomach protrude. Even if you don't have one, it's coming out. And it feels uncomfortable, and it doesn't create a nice silhouette. But when it comes to the wider waistband, it's a lot more forgiving, and it gives you a much better silhouette, and it gives you a little bit more, not so much of a cinch, but it doesn't suck you in a stupid area and make you look all distorted and funky. I hate thin waistbands, but funnily enough, this is a thick waistband, hiding a thin waistband. But it covers. But I want to get a good look at the bottom of this. It's a simple maxi skirt. It's a lace maxi skirt. You cannot go wrong with just a lace maxi skirt. These things are super versatile. You can wear them casually. You can wear them out to a club night. I love wearing, like, my new thing. I don't know why it took me so many years to realize that this works, but it took me so many years to realize that you can still wear skirts in the winter, because summertime would come, I'm like, yes, I can wear long skirts, I can wear dresses, and then the winter would come, and I'd be like, it's too cold now, I can't wear those things. Of course you can. Just wear leggings under your skirt, pair your skirt with a sweater, and you can still wear skirts. And I don't know why I didn't know that you could still do that. In my brain, I thought, well, winter time to retire them. No. Just wear a sweater and put leggings underneath, so you're still warm. So I'm always pro maxi skirt, because summertime it looks one way, fall it looks another, winter it looks another. You can dress it up any way. You can wear it to a club. You can do pretty much anything with it. And oh, it has that lining. If you have sensory issues, again, it has this lining that has this kind of dry fabric. That's like a cheap Halloween costume. I don't know if you can hear it. Hear the static? Static cling. I hate the lining with every ounce of my being, because I hate that fabric. I hate the feeling of it. And I know that even if I'm wearing this with leggings underneath, I will feel this rubbing up against, and I'll know what it is. It's one of those feelings that just gives you the chills, and I don't like it. It's not going to stop me from wearing it now. I would like to see the way that it looks, but it is a very plain, very simple maxi skirt. Nothing really extraordinary about it, other than the fact that I can see this making a really good look. And that's what's important about it, because it's something that you wouldn't write home about, and those are the things that end up being your favorite pieces, because they're the most versatile, and you make the best outfits out of them because you put them with everything. And that's what I like about things that are plain and things that are simple. But oh my God, that lining is going to make me crazy. If I didn't have as much heat protectant in my hair as I do now, that I spray in before straightening, I would probably have that static hair. Kind of curious to see what that would look like. Okay, this I do remember. So it has ribbon to lace it up the back. I might be taking that chain off. I have a menagerie of beautiful belts from Mode Brutal, and I will most definitely be wearing that with this, but if I wear one of those belts with this, it would be super overkill. What I like about this is how easy it could take just a very basic look and amplify it times 10. So it's not quite a corset, goes under bust. When I talk about accessories and how important they are, these are kind of the things that I'm talking about. Not just this corset. I'm thinking more in terms of necklaces, harnesses, bracelet, any kind of things that you've DIY'd to add to things. These are things that speak for you. The way that we accessorize ourselves and the things that we use to accessorize, I think, speak more to our personality than the clothing itself. So you can have the same basic black dress as like 10 people in the room, right? And it's the way that you accessorize it that sets you apart. And the cool thing about that is you could be wearing the same dress, but you put the 10 of you in a lineup and you'll all look entirely different. And that's because the accessories that you've chosen are the things that set you apart. Those are the things that speak for you and your personality. And this is one of those things. Now, if you're more of a DIY aficionado, you can see that there are tabs that hold these on. Now you can leave it as it is. You can leave these on, or you can get creative. You can take these off, and you can hang whatever you want from this. But either way, this is sort of one of those things where it's going to be that defining thing that sets you apart because it's one of your accessories. Is that it? No. I don't know why they're sticking these things to everything, and it makes me mad because I don't like when things are just so obvious and chosen for you. You want basic, so and this is more what I'm talking about. This is more what I think are going to be like the staple pieces that get you through. It is a plain velvet tank top. It's a camisole. It does have bust cups sewn in, but they're bigger. And I like the fact that they're taking that into account, that we do have chests. Prior to that, what was happening, I think it'll be easier if you see it this way. We'll do it inside out. Do you see the bust cup? Do you see that piece there? It was coming up more here. So what was happening is that we were getting dresses, getting tank tops and things, and that seam that should go under here was coming across here. So we're like getting the cross section of a grilled cheese sandwich, like diagonally. It was not cute. So this, size-wise, much better. Just kind of get, yeah, see? Perfect. Fits the girls. Bust cups were one of the things that were on my list of stay away from when it comes to fast fashion. But this, the fact that they're taking bigger busts into consideration, makes me want to take that off my list. But these are the things that are going to make it through. In itself, if you think about it, it's actually very simple. There's nothing really over the top of that. It's nothing to write home about. And this is something that would pair perfectly with the maxi skirt I just showed you. It's a very simple look if you think about it in theory. When you put those things together, it actually creates a really, really beautiful look. And accessorized, it's going to look even better. But if you think about them separately, really think about them, black velvet camisole, plain black lace skirt. In of themselves, they're very basic, but you put them together and you accessorize them and you have something really great. And that's what's great about pieces like this. The simple pieces, and these are the ones, and these are the things that are going to last you. You're not going to get sick of, you're not going to throw away. And that's why it's really important not to get things that are kind of gimmicky, like things that are, you know, just sort of a new style that people are working with, things that are like, oh wow, look at that. That's really cool. That's something new and something interesting. It's something that's going to date very fast. Another really good reason to be pro-basic is that things don't date. All fashion eventually dates. Things are in fashion and then they're out of fashion. Fashion is very cyclical. Right now you're seeing a lot of Y2K things. Things tend to repeat in 20-year cycles. Everything that you're seeing out that's popular now was very much popular in the early 2000s, but they didn't last long. It was very gimmicky things and things that dated very quickly. How many people do you see wearing tiny vests? How many people do you see wearing skirts over jeans? The fact that everyone is wearing those velour tracksuits again, that in like pastel colors and stuff, like I can't believe that. But again, these are things that everybody's into right now, but just as it did back in the early 2000s, they're going to be gone again. So what happens is if you give into the gimmick, you see things that like, oh wow, that's really cute, I really like that, but it's something that's a little bit more over the top. It increases the likelihood that it's going to date and you're going to get sick of it. And that kind of defeats the purpose of, this is going to be a very big oxymoron, but being sustainable while shopping fast fashion. So in order to do that, it means getting things that aren't going to date ever. When is a V-neck ever going to date? V-necks will never date. Maxi skirts will never date. You just need to make sure to keep it basic and keep it simple, and these are things that are never going to go out of fashion. As you accessorize them throughout the years, they're going to change, but the outfits themselves, the tops, the skirts, the pants, the dresses, they themselves will never date because you've gone with something very basic. If you are saving up to treat yourself to a handmade piece from a really beautiful, beautiful designer, I highly recommend Blackwood Castle. And if you do own the knockoff from Romwe, I highly recommend tagging Blackwood Castle on social media and not Romwe, because credit where credit is due. You want to credit the designer, and they are in fact the ones that designed that dress. So even if you didn't buy it from Blackwood, tag them anyway, so we get them the attention that they deserve, because they deserve the credit. They're the ones that designed it. So with all that being said, I'm going to get another better look at these pieces, try them on, show you what they look like, how to accessorize them, and let you know how they fare. If there are any other issues post try-on, I'm definitely going to let you know. And with all that being said, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found this useful. Until next time, bye.
So I have a fun story, and that is when you're in the middle of shooting a fashion video outside, because outside has the best lighting. It's diffused, it's all around, and it's just much easier than shooting indoors. So when you're in the middle of shooting, you go outside and you come back in to change clothes, and you suddenly hear the sounds of like somebody in the yard. It sounds like people throwing things against your house, and you go outside and it's turkeys fighting right where you were shooting. So I didn't get to finish shooting all of the items, but I did get a video of myself trying to diffuse turkey rage, which is surprisingly harder than they make it look. Not that I've ever had any demonstrations on how to do this, but it just seemed like they were hurting each other. And I felt like, well, this is my yard, and anything that happens to them is sort of on me, karma-wise. So I'm going to help the turkeys. Enjoy.
I heard a kerfuffle. They were slamming against the house. Now they're just really pissed off. So I guess this is what a turkey fight looks like. Hey, turkeys!